Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. March Madness is here. Weekend's here. Get to relax. Talk some LSU football with us. You got any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat. We'll get to them throughout the stream as usual, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. We do have some special things up our sleeves this weekend for you. We got some women's practice highlights today. We'll go by. Look at them practice for March Madness. They're going to be playing late as hell tomorrow. They're going to be playing at like 9:15 p.m. But we'll get in there at around 1:30, probably have the highlights up about 3 o'clock for you. Then LSU football practice. We're back in the building tomorrow morning. Those highlights will be up for you at about, I'd say, noon to 1 o'clock tomorrow. Should have some good intel, some good information for you from there as well. There's a lot of changing, a lot changing in the LSU football world, the recruiting world specifically. Let's talk about Tristan Keys. And let me just go ahead and say out loud, everybody pump your damn brakes. Pump your brakes. Nobody wants to have another situation like the 2025 recruiting class. Am I hyped that Tristan Keys is committed? 100%. He's the number one wide receiver in the class. He's an absolute dog. Now I feel like LSU football, they're recognized as a top college for wide receivers. Obviously, we're all preaching wide receiver U. We're all preaching Cortez Hankton. We're all preaching that this is one of the best spots for a wide receiver because of, I don't know, all the damn hundreds of millions of dollars getting thrown around the NFL. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors is about to join that mix. Brian Thomas Jr. to, add another name. It's a lot of people, a lot of mouths that have come out of that room that are getting fed right now. And I think LSU's biggest recruiting pitch to anybody, whether it be wide receiver, whether it be tight end, whether it be quarterback, don't even matter, is that they are putting out a plethora of talent at the league that's getting respected. It's a developmental university at this point. The more wide receivers you have also on your team, on your squad, talented, ready, the better your chances are just winning a football game in general. I mean, you can't go out there and have one of the best quarterbacks, but not give him any single options, not give him an option to go downfield, to go 20 yards, to go 30 yards, whatever the case may be. This opens up the floor for LSU's offense to get creative, to spread the field, to even potentially get in a quarterback in the signing class as well. I know I started the segment saying pump your brakes, and I'm still that's my overall vibe on this. But if I'm not mistaken, we dial it back to the 2025 class, the class that inevitably eluded LSU. DeCorian Moore committed first. And then the domino fell with Bryce Underwood committing after because he was like, oh, wow, I'm going to be able to throw to someone like this. And then running back like Harlan Barry's going to come in. All right, bet. I'm here. Obviously, it didn't, end like that. A lot of people wish it would have, but it didn't. Naturally, though, my mind went there first. Tristan Keys is probably going to attract a top quarterback to also follow suit. Now, if he comes, if he inevitably signs on signing day and all this race, it ends. LSU hits the finish line and they finally secure their recruit in the wide receiver realm at least. Then I think, you could celebrate. Right now, I'm a little scared. I don't know if you should even be hyped. I mean, I know how the whole DeCorian Moore and Bryce Underwood situation turned out. You don't want to have that comparative aspect. You want to get past that. You want that to be the past. And I feel like just because it happened, everybody's worried about it happening again. And it's rightfully so. You do have to kind of taper your expectations. But I do want to remind everybody that LSU is in an entirely different situation financially than they were last year. I'm not trying to say that LSU couldn't have paid. LSU just might not have wanted to pay. LSU just might not have seen the vision in paying in that instance. And LSU might not have had enough resources in the end to pay for that and still pay for whatever the hell they wanted to pay for in the end. Now, I think it's a different ballgame. Now, I really do think it's night and day of a difference in terms of LSU racking up, what was it, $18 million in an offseason. You're adding the revenue share aspect to it. And there's no telling how much more LSU can be able to generate with the the ability to focus now on the athletics brand and helping grow the personal athletes and all these different individual focuses, I think, make LSU unique and give them that much more leverage in the recruiting world. Leverage is an interesting word here in this situation, though, because Tristan could simply be leveraging LSU. He could simply be committing early on to a big university where kind of raises that price tag if somebody wants to get him to flip. And I'm not saying that he wants to flip or he wants a bag, or I'm not putting any words in his mouth. This is all pure speculation. But what I'm saying is if he hypothetically did want the biggest bag, the easiest way to go about it, and probably the easiest way to get it, is to make an early commitment to a flagship university, a big university, a competitive university, and kind of influence the schools that are still chasing you, a little bit behind LSU, to write that blank check. If that's the end goal, there is a clear path here. And I think a lot of other athletes have been able to kind of replicate this path. You just don't know anymore in college football. This is a part of this transfer portal era, right? I mean, now I'm not trying to just put a slander towards the transfer portal here, even though in about 10 minutes we'll be breaking down another one of these crazy storyline topics. But it's just like, this is the era of college football you're in now. Kids are going to just sit there, wait it out, and leverage, and it's going to be a negotiation down till the end. These type of commitments do not matter until they are finalized, officialized, faxed, and the athletic department gets the letter of intent signed with your name on it. Just cross your fingers. Hope Cortez Hankton can keep working that magic. Of course, first off, shout out Coach Hankton. I mean, not only is he putting out talent at the wide receiver position in the NFL, not only has he been a very key, integral piece to LSU's offense, being able to sustain the success, but just talk about the recruiting, the ability to keep all of this talent. If you can keep Cortez Hankton on this coaching staff for a few more years, I think LSU will develop into a championship contender year in and year out, over and over. They can be one of those teams that are at the top. However, the key is you got to keep a guy like Cortez Hankton on the staff. Coordinators come and go. A lot of coaches, pass through college football coaching carousel rather quickly. Cortez Hankton's one of those guys that I think you have to keep for moments like this. He's your developmental piece that you could really latch on in terms of the skill position in the wide receiver room, watching what he's been able to put out at that level and all the different stories that he's been able to transcend, and not even just the people at LSU, but Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey. There's other names still to be mentioned that he's had an impact on during his time at Georgia and other different spots. Former NFL wide receiver himself, been around the block. I love that aspect of coaching because I think it makes your players buy in around you. Players love to learn from people that have been in the situation they have want to been in, or they want to be in. It's not saying they won't listen to a coach that hasn't played. I'm sure they will. The coach is just going to have a bigger impact, but it's a little bit easier when they, recognize, all right, it's Nuno's fault. This guy's been in the situation before. Cortez Hankton exemplifies that, and I think that's kind of the reason why his players all love him, and they have that family type of bond. You got to be able to be transformational in this coaching world, and that's the perfect definition of a transformational coach right there, Cortez Hankton. And I just want to give him his flowers and make sure that LSU and LSU fans here know, I think that's one of your biggest pieces of this coaching staff, and he's going to have to stay intact. Let's talk about John Emery real quick, but let's shout out H-Town Creole. Good morning, my guy. He's talking about if he stays committed, Tristan Keys, then him and Manchild pair together will be scary. Of course. Manchild is one of those underrated aspects as well, but hey, Creole, how about a guy like Jelani Watkins? How about a Kylan Billiard? You even got someone named Javen Nicholas that not a lot of people are known about. You got depth at this position. It keeps getting scarier and scarier and scarier as the days go on. Let's talk about this John Emery situation. I don't know if anybody saw it yesterday. We've been talking about it on the show for a few weeks, just in a sense where we felt like that was the direction he would lean in. Coming back one more year, that's the vibe. He was just trying to get everything sorted out to play more college football. He announced his return yesterday with quite simply 2 words in quotation marks. I'm back. I'm back, bro. Hit him with the Michael Jordan, hit him with the facts, but he didn't specify where he's going to. And I think that's going to be the key element in all this. John Emery did not say, LSU fans, I'm coming back to Baton Rouge. He simply just said he's coming back to play college football. There's a very real possibility that John Emery is just not going to be an LSU Tiger. And I mean, the writing's on the wall in a sense where Caden Durham is the number 1 lead back. We're all sitting here wondering how Caleb Jackson's going to assume that role in terms of the power back, the backup, the RB2, whatever you want to call it, the 1-2 duo combination punch. You got Harlan Berry. You got JT Lindsey. I don't know where he fits in that room. And it's tough because against USC, he turned up and he was fantastic. The elephant in the room that every single team, whether it be college, NFL, whatever the case may be, the elephant in the room that everybody, quite frankly, wants addressed is the injury situation. Because it's not simply put 1 ACL. And it's not 2 ACL injuries on the same knee. It's both ACLs have been torn. 1 ACL was torn against Florida. He recovered that whole season, comes back, USC game in that third quarter. Or excuse me, it didn't happen in the USC game, but the practice after the USC game, that's when it happened. That's something that I think some people are going to kind of have a hard time getting over. I mean, I'm a big John Emery fan. I think he's very talented, and I'm excited that he's coming back because college football's put you in a spot where you get this opportunity. If you want to stay and you have enough eligibility between, your redshirt years, that COVID year that had happened, all these different injury and medical red shirts. Why not? Because he's not the only guy. I mean, he's not the only story. You've got Diego Pavia. You've got Cam Rising. You've got the tight end from Miami. You've got all kind of different stories you could tie back into it. Why not let it fly? Everybody's saying, oh, well, he could have been in the NFL. He could have been this. He could have been that. You're in the world of NIL. He's getting paid. I don't know if he's getting paid handsomely, but he's getting a check to go to school and to play football. Got a degree from LSU, was able to graduate. I feel like this is one of those stories that you're just going to have to be proud of him in, right? I mean, a lot of injuries have plagued him. He kept pushing. He's a fighter. He kept getting through it. Some people really, just sometimes they just have that adversity, right? Sometimes people just have unfortunate things happen, and they just have to stand right back up, get knocked down 8, stand up 9. John Emery right now is standing up a lot more often than a lot of other people would have done. I'll tell you that. This is a tough story and a tough situation to be in. I'm wishing the best for him. I hope John Emery gets a great opportunity. Last year, obviously, almost hit the transfer portal. He was at UCLA for a little bit, wound up coming back. I don't know how this situation unfolds. I don't know if he wants to play at LSU. I don't know what the vision is. I'm sure we'll find out here rather quickly. My overall speculation and consensus is, though, if he was coming back, I feel like he would have made it clear in that statement. I feel like maybe even LSU football would have made some type of statement. I don't know. It seems like there wasn't a collaborative effect to announce that. That's why I think he might be playing somewhere else. But you never know. And we'll be continuing to cover it. Let's talk about another player that could be covering someone else. Before we get further into the stream, though, I wanted to tell everybody, appreciate you watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more coverage. Drop a comment if you got any questions, concerns, anything. You want to join the discussion, drop it in the chat. We'll pop you up during the stream. But please like and share. Let's talk Micah Hudson. I don't know if anybody remembers Micah Hudson. I don't know if you were in the transfer portal buzz with us in December, going rabid right after college football ended. But there was a receiver that was making some noise from Texas Tech. He entered the portal. He's one of the best receivers that was on the market. And LSU, hey, they were hungry. Quite frankly, like they're hungry right now. Go and get Tristan Keys. They were in a similar spot where they wanted to load up in that portal. Had a lot of money left on the table from that signing day collapse, and they wanted to throw it at something. This was one of the people that they were trying, and it didn't work out. Texas A&M was able to give them the biggest bang, and now he's at Texas A&M for a few months, and then steps away. Mike Elko announces this week he is no longer with the program. Now he will be back in the transfer portal. And I'm not going to sit here and say, LSU fans, let's go grab him. Because sometimes in the transfer portal, there are people that, quite frankly, I'm not saying need to be in the transfer portal, but they're in the transfer portal for a reason. They were at a program. They weren't able to kind of, push through down that path, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it does not a good fit. Sometimes you just have to go in and find out. Sometimes you have to screw up to know. But there's also the fact that sometimes a kid just might be disgruntled, right? A kid just might not have had the best experience. He's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to find somewhere else. There is a interesting consensus around an athlete like that and the overall detriment that it could be to the culture, to the chemistry, to the vibe of your locker room. And Texas A&M, I think, is the guinea pig case study of them all, right? Let's talk about the number 1 recruiting class they had, and I think it was 2023. I mean, it didn't pan out. They probably got 2 people left from that class on that team. Everybody else hitting the transfer portal. Everybody else jumping around. Everybody else moving. That's the problem when you find people that are just focused on the dollar sign and not the university, not the program, not the coaching staff, not the scheme, not the team, not anything other than the check that I'm going to be able to cash. Because once that money's in your bank account, once that dopamine clears through your head, once you've spent every dollar, once you've gone through, got everything off your wish list, your checklist, whatever the case may be, you still got to play football. You still got to go to practice. You still got to go to school. That's your new home. And sometimes it sets in for people that it just wasn't what it was cracked up to be. And I think Texas A&M has kind of found that out. And Brian Kelly's old consensus with the portal recruiting, and especially through last season, was he wants to get people at LSU that want to be at LSU. He doesn't want to pay for people that want to have to woo people in with the huge checks. He just simply wants their love for the game and their love for the university to direct them in their decision here. And I do think that initially at first that was a good response. It sounded good in theory until inevitably you lose every single piece and you need to hurry up and throw some resources behind it. I do think that there is a good balance and mix of finding value and a player that's worth a certain price that also is committed. Then you're able to kind of have a decent investment that you can get a return on, because otherwise with A&M and Micah Hudson. I don't know exactly how much money that he got paid for the few months he was there. I don't know if he's going to lose his entire deal. I don't know the whole financial situation behind it. What I do know is that the optics of this is huge, because if LSU transferred an athlete that they thought would make a big impact, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, I'm just being hypothetical. Let's say a big corner that we had just put in. I'm not going to even say a name so we can get nothing going. But let's say a big corner for LSU entered the portal right now. It'd be a detriment, because your entire vibe around this spring has been on how big that transfer portal has reloaded LSU's defense. That is an Achilles heel moment of a team whenever they have a big, shiny piece that they thought they were going to be able to reload on, that they didn't even go out and recruit anymore because they had a piece. Texas A&M was like, you know what? We got Micah Hudson. We're not going to have to keep dumping at this wide receiver spot. Now, guess what? Now they do. Now they're a little bit behind. This situation just keeps getting more and more grimy. Apparently, a return to Texas Tech is still in the play, and that's another one of those situations that just makes you scratch your head. You leave the university because you think it's not good, and then you go to a different one. You see the grass getting greener. Now you're ready to hide back. I mean, I'm not gonna scoff at it. I'm just saying it's an interesting situation for sure. And look, Matt Rule from Nebraska, he kind of talked about this. He worried about it a little bit, not just this conceptually, but showing off talent that you have, and this spring portal window being open for the second time, allowing an opportunity for someone who doesn't like their role during spring football to just up and leave. Sometimes spring football is still a growing pain period. It's not over. It's not finished. I'm very interested to see how this pans out. This is why coaches want players that love the university and don't love the bag. Loving the bag is great. Everybody love the bag. But sometimes you got to love the grind too, the process, getting to that point. Because guess what? That bag is going to get a lot heavier in the NFL. Ask Jamar Chase. Buddy's about to bring home $250 million. Ask Joe Burrow. Buddy's $500 million. I believe all the totals from every single 2019 contract and all the athletes that were on that national championship team, it's like $1.2 billion in deals. And I get it. That was the greatest college football team of all time. But guess what? It's the idea of being at a university for 4 years, developing a brand, playing against top talent, whether it be on your team, whether it be on other teams, whether it be the coaching staff helping you develop. It's the idea that you're put in a developmental process. I guess I'm going to use this last analogy, and you could disagree with me on it, but this is how I see it. It'd be like putting a huge oak tree in a small flower pot and then in your yard. The one that's in your yard is going to grow the most. It's got the most nutrients, the most space. It's got everything. It has the ability to grow. In the flower pot, this thing is the roots are going to be so constricted, or the same situation as the shark in its habitat. A shark in the ocean is going to be massive. A shark in a small tank is going to stay the size of the tank. You have to push yourself and get yourself into a situation where you're going to make yourself better. Now, I'm not saying Micah Hudson didn't do it. I'm just talking about conceptually with this transfer portal. That's kind of what worries me with this age. Let's move on to this March Madness hype. Amir Aura Khan, Madness, McNeese, getting the W. Shout out Will Wade, man. These type of moments, whether you love him, whether you don't, you still got to be proud, because this story, this journey that he's been on, it's been insane. Definitely deserves the victory. The Will Wade hype is at an all-time high. The Amir Khan hype is at an all-time high. I mean, you see every single time you open your phone, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any single app, wherever you're on social medias, you're going to see him all over the place. The media machine is after it right now. It's awesome to see. I do want to talk about Will Wade and his new job. I don't even want to damper the March Madness hype yet. I don't want to make it seem like anything it's not. I just kind of want to talk about a couple of interesting things I saw. So first, my first reaction to the NC State job. I mean, initially I was like, all right, well, you thought it would be a bigger program, maybe like, the Texas job that just opened up or something like that. But the more I sat on it, the more I talked to people about it, the more I kind of just reflected. It's really not a bad situation. You're still in the ACC. You still have all the money in terms of recruiting, and now the NIL world allows you to do so. But you don't have all that pressure of a big program with a lot of expectations. Naturally, yeah, Will Wade's going to have the expectation that follows him because he's had tournament success. He's been at multiple locations, big and small, and he's had tournament success both spots. Now, you get to turn the corner and kind of make your own mark on a program that really, I'm not going to say hadn't done well, because last year they went on their little run And I do want to point out how ironic it was. Because last year they had that huge forward that was like 300 pounds on NC State, the Wolfpacks, and they were coming out with a speaker and all. And in full circle moment, 365 days later, now McNeese has the speaker moment. And now Will Wade's going to NC State. I thought that was pretty ironic. But yeah, the ACC, I think it's really one of the most competitive basketball conferences. Another thing I love about Will Wade, and this is Will Wade in a nutshell. If you did not know much about Will Wade, his personality, whatever the case may be before this comment that he made about his team and about his players that he recruited at McNeese, it's going to completely put his character on display. So he came to McNeese, and I believe this is his second season over there. He's had a couple of cycles of recruiting, but this last one that he brought in, obviously, he's really tied to it. He told those kids that he recruited while he was recruiting, maybe not even during that process, but letting them know that the end all goal was to be at a competitive big conference, whether it be the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, whatever the case may be. His end goal was to get a bigger job. He communicated that, and he let them know that he would take them with them. If they wanted to enter the transfer portal, follow suit, let's go to NC State together from McNeese, he's game for that. He's all game for helping grow his players, grow his brand. He's not going to be in a situation where he's like, I got a better job. Y'all, good luck. Good luck at McNeese. Appreciate y'all coming. Good luck. He's following suit. He's going to see it through. He told y'all, I'm going to develop you and I'm going to get you to the league and I'm going to get you in a position where you're going to succeed. Guess what? He will do it. If you want to follow Will Wade to the portal and enter more national tournaments, I think the path is there. Will Wade's about to go on an insane run. I love him, loyal coach. The fact that his players stand up for him like this, whether it be McNeese, whether it be the situation at LSU, that speaks volumes. When something happens and all the players 100% make their message heard, whether it be leaving in the portal, every scholarship player, or somebody coming out and making a statement, it takes a lot of guts and it takes a lot of impact that a coach had to have on you. I think Will Wade, one of the best basketball coaches that there are in the country at every level. I'm going to say that. 100% hot take. I don't care. Let's talk about the perfect brackets left. McNeese killed out of 24 million brackets. They killed about 22.5 million beating Clemson. Shout out about 0.09% brackets remaining that are perfect. I don't think anybody's going to ever get a perfect bracket. You can call me a hater. Call me whatever you want. I looked up the odds. I don't even know how many quintillion it was, but pretty much if I took a grain of sand in my hand, one grain, put it right here, and I went anywhere on this pretty big earth and placed it, you would have to then, in turn, go on an airplane, try to track down exactly where on earth I put that grain of sand and find me that exact grain of sand. Are you confident that you're going to be able to do that? Probably not. I don't think a perfect bracket will ever happen. Everybody's going to say they got close. Everybody's going to say I was one away, all this stuff. I ain't buying it. Simply put, I ain't buying it. Because in March Madness, we just watched in 2 hours probably. I think they were at the 2:15 mark. 2:15 Central Time yesterday. Within the first 2-3 hours of March Madness, you had 23 out of 24 million people get busted. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Hopefully LSU's bracket don't get busted. Let's talk about this. LSU March Madness. Let's finish it off with our final March Madness prediction that we're going to be able to give. They got a late game tomorrow. San Diego State University, 9 p.m. I think they got a damn good shot to win. And apparently Vegas does too. Oh, my God. I took a look at the odds. -27 on the spread. That's insane, first off. I don't even know. If anybody takes something like that, just stop, first off. Second, the money line, -100,000. Once again, just why? Why? That's not even – just lock it. Lock it. Don't even put the odds for that. If somebody's taking that, I feel bad for you. That's just an insane situation. I bet you if you put damn near $1,000 on, you're probably going to make 20 cents. You're probably going to get a quarter to be able to flip. And then you can take that quarter and just do coin tosses from here on out because I think your gambling days should be done, buddy. I think, though, this is not the matchup that everybody's worried about. Monday, this all gets interesting. If Florida State wins their game, then I think people start to sweat. I'm fearful. I think there is a potential for a Baton Rouge upset. They've made it out every single year except the first year. They beat Jackson State in the round, or the first round. Second round, they lost to Ohio State. Mulkey's first year hosting. They got the 8th best odds to win the national championship as of right now. South Carolina's first, UConn's second, then UCLA, Texas, USC, Notre Dame, TCU, then LSU. LSU is actually tied for 8th best odds with Duke. I don't know, folks. I don't know. There's a lot of confidence in terms of them making out the first round, and I'll ride on that. I'm confident, and I'll be there. I'll be, floating around, hoping, wishing. 9:15 p.m. though. Oh my god, it's literally one of the worst times we're gonna pick. I'd take 9 a.m. over 9 p.m. Call me crazy. I'd rather that. I don't know. It'll be an interesting situation. Like I said, women's basketball practice highlights today should be about, I don't know. We should walk in around 1, probably going to have them up around 2 to 3 p.m. So stay tuned for that today. Then tomorrow, LSU football practice. Saturday morning, we'll be there. And I think our highlights will be up around noon to 1 o'clock tomorrow. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications on so you don't miss it. Stay on the lookout. A lot of content this weekend. We'll be live Monday at 9 a.m. again. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up on the way out. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Appreciate you, Kobe. Say you're here on a Friday. Shout out. Enjoy your weekend, bro. Hopefully your bracket didn't bust it. Hopefully you're one of the last, 20,000 people left out of 24 million. Hopefully your bracket is still perfect, but hopefully. I know mine ain't. Hey, I did pick McNeese, though. I did pick McNeese, but there was a couple other things that kind of got me. But this is March. It's March, baby. Let's go catch up on it. Hopefully LSU can get it done. It'll be interesting. Have a good one.